going, everyone? Thank you for coming today. Craig and I have been part about the fuel cell development program since 2001, and from that time, of course, we've always kept the doors really tightly closed here. So we're really excited to have this opportunity to share with you guys a little bit behind the curtain, what's happening in the hydrogen space for us, and then more specifically later today, we're going to show you in the garage. We never really allow people in there, and so we're really excited to have that chance to let you see what we're doing in there. So, as we talk about the hydrogen headquarters, Jordan, Michigan, we've had a long history of activities here in Gardena generally. What I want to do now is focus a little bit on hydrogen specifically. So as, when we go through, we will go past these slides, but specifically as Toyota, we've been working on hydrogen since 2001. And, you know, in Gardena. And this is the kind of Gardena history. We started in 2001 with 5 people. Today we're over 50 people that work on staff, on site. But we also have staff that we've grown throughout the years in different regions of our company. So in addition to our work that we do here in Gardena, we also have work that's being done in Michigan and as well as Texas. But you can see many of the different projects that we started with. In the very beginning of our fuel cell launch in 2001 here, these were very much prototype vehicles. These vehicles had a vehicle in front, a vehicle in back, another vehicle in back with a trailer that would pick it up when it stopped working. And it was one of those really interesting experiences as we were developing this technology to improve its reliability. Over the years, what we were able to do was really improve the reliability and improve its capacity. So we went from very, very precious, sensitive vehicles to vehicles that were traversing within the Arctic Circle and testing in arid environments like the valley. But as we were developing this, we realized that fuel cells can scale and they can grow. And so you can see as we were working through this development history that we grew our development from just vehicle applications into other applications. Of course, we've talked a lot about heavy-duty trucks in the past, but we've also done applications in other areas as well. So when we talk about our fuel cell development, we like to kind of put it into 4 pillars. And those 4 pillars are our light-duty pillar. So of course this is all about our light-duty product space. This includes not just the vehicle itself, but also how the vehicle gets its fuel. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. We have our heavy-duty pillar, which is primarily our class of trucks. And then we also have what we call FC Guyhan's new business, which is basically everything else. And there's a lot of everything else that can be powered by fuel cell. And then finally, we do have some compliance functioning here. We do have to do some testing for our conventional vehicles to confirm their emissions tests and stuff like that. You'll see a little bit of that as we walk throughout the building. You won't be able to take a picture of it, but you'll be able to see we have some of that testing going on. So when I talk about fuel cell development, what does that really mean? So when we first started, it meant just driving around to see if it breaks. But it's more than that. It's really more than that. So it includes control, calibration. BMC means benchmarking. EDR is the early detection of response. So you got to be able to understand what's happening with the vehicle, respond quickly to market issues. But when we, it's not just about the fuel cell technology. It's about how do you put it into the marketplace? And what we started to realize early on is the codes and standards was very weak in the early years. There wasn't a crash standard. There wasn't a standard for parking. There wasn't a standard for a lot of that. So we had to really dig in deep and commit resources to make the appropriate codes and standards. A lot of those include things like bonfire tests. If you have questions about hydrogen safety, we've got all kinds of stuff for hydrogen safety, but bonfire tests, penetration, burst tests, crash testing, high voltage testing, a lot of those standards didn't exist for hydrogen in 2001. Today, of course, they do exist, because all the standards are globally now applied, but it's taken a long time to get there. But we also have to do a lot of work on our infrastructure and government relations. So we work closely with both the California Energy Commission and the Air Resources Board as we look at how to grow this fuel cell market. And we have strong partners with organizations like the University of California, Irvine. On that bottom right is just their street modeling that they use to kind of identify where stations should be or could be modeled. In fact, today, the California Energy Commission relies heavily on that kind of tool that they developed. So these are the first and second gen Mirai. You've seen them. We have the Gen. You'll see two of them downstairs. Now, some people will say ugly duckling turns into a swan. No. Remember, this one's my baby, so this is a swan turned into another swan. But we're really excited because we were able to dive deep into the control of this vehicle, and you'll be able to see some of this hardware and some of the things that we were able to do downstairs. Looking a little bit, one thing we didn't mention was we started in 2001. That's true for this office. But what Toyota as a whole started in 1992. So we have, as a company, we have over 30 years of fuel cell experience. So before I hand the mic over to Craig, I did want to recognize that we as a company, as I mentioned, we started scaling the products from light duty to other duty. And one of the first ones we really wanted to challenge ourselves with was the Class 8 heavy duty space. We really saw the need for that market to become zero emission. And we wanted to be able to show fuel cells can operate in that space, and they could do it well. And so this truck is called the Alpha truck. This was the first truck that we built secretly, right? We even had a third party buy the chassis, so that even the OEM didn't know we were doing this product, right? So we did this because we wanted to prove to ourselves that you can scale that technology from light duty to heavy duty. The great thing about this experience was all the math was right. Math works. So the math showed that it works. And so we then were able to build a beta truck, which is the kind of more evolved version of Alpha. And later we worked on the next generation of truck, which we call Ocean. The Ocean trucks you've heard a lot about. Those were the ones that were operated in and out of the port. So with that, what I'd like to do now is transition a little bit over to my close friend here, Craig Scott, to take over a little bit more about the other things we're doing here.
Again, welcome everyone to the meeting here today. Great to have you all. Great to have a little history lesson also from Justin. Sometimes I forget where we all began back in 2001. It's really exciting for us, right? Because we've kind of grown up in this space and watched it all evolve and been a big part of it. And so I'm going to spend a little time talking about the things we're doing beyond light duty. That I think some of these things may be known to you, some of them may be new. This was a project that we had done a few years back called Zanza, which was a grant that was awarded by the state of California for $82 million to sort of prove out heavy duty technology in real world applications. And so kind of basing it on our experience with Alpha and Beta, we partnered with PACCAR to develop 10 prototypes, which you see here on the screen, which then went on to accumulate about 30 or 40,000 miles in real world application, moving goods from the port of Los Angeles to either the intermodal railroad which is about 6 miles away, or all the way out to Ontario, which is about 60 miles away, and then back to base. And this was affectionately called shore to store. The project wrapped up a couple years ago. I think it was a really big success for us. Allowed us to understand as a company what was real, what were people doing with the trucks. A lot of times we drive them around here, but until you put someone an actual truck driver in the seat of the truck, you don't really know like all the things they're going to do to it, like back into a wall or all the stuff that we have to plan for. So the other really great part of this project and why we were so excited about it is this developed the first 3 heavy duty hydrogen stations that are still in operation today. So one at our facility at TLS Long Beach, and one down the street at Wilmington, and then another one out in Ontario. And that was really an important first step for us because the technology, especially for heavy duty, is still very nascent in the infrastructure space, and we wanted to make sure we could get in and start getting the learnings for how to improve it going forward. So Justin mentioned our infrastructure activities in the light duty space, but we also have a very storied history with heavy duty as well, and it's something that this office works a lot on. We don't often talk about the software development that occurs here, but a lot of the software development happens in Mirai. came out of this office, and a lot of the software development that's going into heavy-duty stations in the future are also, in large part, coming out of the team that are sitting just outside this door here. So today we have a, unfortunately this is the large nozzle. It's hard to see the scale, but we'll get you an image of it later. This is a very large nozzle, about this big, and that allows for what we call high flow protocol through the dispenser into the truck. The Mirai one, or the light duty one, is much smaller. And all that work was developed here. So we've been working with our industry partners, of course, PACCAR, as well as all the other automakers, to make sure that we have a global standard for this. So whether you're filling your Mirai or your heavy-duty truck in Los Angeles or Munich or Tokyo, it's all the same. It's all the same, right? And that's a really important thing for widespread adoption. And so what we do here is really work a lot on that, and we help the station operators also what we call Kaizen their operations and improve their throughput of the stations, but also improve their hardware durability, which has been an issue. And a lot of, again, that work happens here in this garage you'll see shortly. Sorry, these are the slides with a lot of order. This is some new stuff that maybe you're not completely aware of. This is support activity we've been doing. You know, although we've been a light duty automaker for a long time and now getting to the heavy duty powertrain space, the ecosystem for hydrogen is really extensive, and we think it presents a great opportunity for decarbonizing other parts of the transportation value chain. And so the port, for example, which is a huge facility, the largest port in the United States is Port of Los Angeles Long Beach. It's the 9th largest port in the world. There are a lot of activities there that could easily be transitioned to hydrogen, and I think are better suited for hydrogen than batteries, for example, because of their duty cycle. So here you see three different, four pictures, but three different images. These two are the same. So you have a rubber tire gantry, a utility tractor rig, and a top deck handler. And so what these are all doing in the port, if you were to go to the port today, you would see some of these operating as, you know, moving containers either around the truck yard or from the truck yard onto the tractor trailer, or from the ship onto a train or onto another truck for moving it out of the port into its final destinations. The great thing I think about this kind of activity is, you know, port vehicles are pretty standard globally and certainly standard across the U.S. And so what we develop here in the Port of Los Angeles or Long Beach allows us to then take that learning and take those products and move them to the Port of Houston or Energy or Singapore or China. And again, all this activity, all these vehicles have been developed here by our team members. One more thing you'll get a chance to see today is our activity in stationary power. So we're really focusing on where we can make the biggest impact and the biggest difference for decarbonizing. And in addition to, of course, Mirai and heavy-duty trucks and also the port equipment, stationary power is becoming something that is increasingly important in this space. And so we hear from our partners and our colleagues, especially in the data center world, who are looking to install a lot more capacity for backup power, that they have been struggling a lot with being able to site things like diesel generator backups because of air permits and the restrictions they have around them. And so we recognize that this is really another great opportunity for hydrogen. It's very scalable, as Jordan and Justin mentioned. You know, we can go from a forklift to a megawatt class generator, which we'll show you in just a second as well. And this is an example of one of the very first ones we did. We built this generator in conjunction with our partners down the street at TRD. And we took it, it's a 50 kilowatt generator, we took it to the LPGA Tour in Rancho Mirage, California. And we, although we could have powered actually the whole event, we ended up just powering this little stage over here with some monitors and some other things. And we did it to demonstrate really to the world that you can operate hydrogen in a safe space, produce power. Everyone you can see is walking by, no one has any clue what's going on, but the entire event is potentially, but certainly the stage was all powered by 100% renewable energy. And so this was our first chance to really get an idea of what it is we can do in this space. We then later took it to an event we had at our Michigan headquarters where we were powering and charging BZs for team members and for parts of the media. And it was really, again, our first step back in 2020. So from there, we graduated to this what we call the 1 megawatt or sort of grid scale stationary genset. It is a project that we did in conjunction with the National Renewable Energies Lab in Boulder, Colorado, which is a DOE laboratory. We delivered it to them in September of 2022, and it is integrated into what this is their Flatirons campus. And so the campus there is powered entirely by renewable energy, whether it's solar or wind. And what they do is they run the turbines and the solar panels all day. They capture that energy. They run it through an electrolyzer. They store hydrogen, and that hydrogen is later used for peak shaving or for high demand periods of time or high cost periods of time. And they feed that power back into their campus. So it's the very first time that anyone in Toyota has built this level of generator. Again, 1 megawatt, so kind of the building block for what we call grid scale power. And it's an integration of over 20 fuel cell stacks with all the power controls. Again, another great example of what the team members here at Gardena are capable of doing. Sort of transitioning to what I would call closer to commercial. Actually, maybe this is really technically commercial. This is a project that was announced earlier this year in February. This is a screenshot actually from Kohler. So Kohler Power Systems announced that they had been working with Toyota to produce a 100 kW genset, which was delivered to called, I'm going to get this wrong, Klickitat Valley Hospital in Washington, sort of eastern side of Washington.
What was the name of that company?
Kohler.
Kohler.
Kohler
Okay.
Systems. Yeah, okay. Like think of the guys who make
Right.
faucets. They also make generators. So they, we've been talking to Kohler about this opportunity. They, I think, recognize that the combination of their history and experience in energy management and producing diesel gensets combined with our expertise in fuel cell technology is a nice potential marriage to do projects like this. And so we developed this one with them in conjunction. It was delivered. It will be turned on soon. I don't believe it's turned on quite yet. But the hydrogen will also come from a place called the Douglas PUC, which will be producing hydrogen using hydropower. And so they will break hydrogen through electrolysis and feed that into this. So this facility will provide backup. This generator will provide backup power to the hospital, and it will be all 100% renewable, which is part of both the hospital's goal as well as that region's goals. Sorry, we go back. Okay, we go back one. Sorry, we lost. Yeah, let's plug it in. It's one really good slide that I think you guys should see. Sometimes you make it in the final part. Thank you. Okay. So new information we haven't released to anybody yet, and if you notice there's some scaffolding outside, it's because we have already started work on this. You'll see tomorrow for those who go to Trigen that it's the first facility that we potentially operating with 100% renewable power. It's about a 500 megawatt facility. This facility here is also base loaded around 500 megawatts, and so we are currently installing about 230 kilowatts of solar on the roof here, which is why you see scaffolding. We will install a 1 megawatt PEM fuel cell, which is designed again by us. We'll also install a solid oxide fuel cell, and we'll have a microgrid controller that allows us to really run this entire facility on hydrogen and renewable power. Josh said I can't say this, I don't know if it's really true. It'll be one of the very first Toyota facilities that have this opportunity to do. It could be potentially 100% off grid. Of course, California doesn't allow that entirely, but we will have that capability to do that. And so we will provide natural gas through a pipeline to the solid oxide fuel cell. We have hydrogen. We have hydrogen storage here on site, and we'll, like I said, control everything and allow us to either feed power back to the grid or use it for running our operations. And then we have to go back. I don't have that one. All right, we're going to do one back. Thanks. just 2 more slides and we can get to the fun stuff outside. So really, I just wanted to wrap it up with this message of, you know, Jordan mentioned it, Chris mentioned it, Justin mentioned it, Nicodemus mentioned it. Toyota is very, very committed to hydrogen. We have been doing this for a very long time, over 30 years. And, you know, maybe if this was 2001, you just see one small picture of a, you know, a RAV fuel cell vehicle. And today we have all of these products that we are actively working on around the world, a lot of them here in the United States. It's really a great privilege for myself, and I think for Justin as well, to be a part of this team, to see the transition from just light duty to heavy duty to stationary to port equipment. It's a great way for Toyota to make a big impact in the world, to show that we are committed to decarbonization, and to continue the effort. And I think the renaming of this building today is very special for us. It proves our commitment, I think, to the technology, and really sort of gives us a guide path and a direction forward to make sure that we do that. So here's a picture of us this morning, the team this morning cutting the ribbon for I guess maybe the second official first time since we did it maybe in 1970 when we opened the building. And with that, I will hand it back to Josh. Thanks.